I'm with Olivia Shea of Crest Academy. Big win against LCC. Anytime you knock off a top team in the county is a good win. So, well, what was one of the keys to your guys beating La Costa Canyon for the second time this season?
I think a really important point that my coach Haas made is that you have to know when to score. So if there's a big block on you, you can't, swing with all your strength. You have to tip and, be smart and stay in the game. And I think that was a big key for us in this game.
So besides beating LCC, beat them twice this year. It gets you a good place in the avocado standings. You got Sage Creek next week. Don't want you to overlook them, but I know Torrey Pines is circled on your list down the street. Big time rival. What do you expect from Sage Creek next and Torrey Pines as you get ready right before playoffs?
Well, I think it's important in all of our league games coming up to just play our game and stay at our level, no matter who we're playing, Torrey Pines, Sage Creek. I think it's most important to, keep the focus on ourselves and our side of the court.
What's the most what are you most proud of with your Canyon Crest Academy team?
Our team honestly has very good team unity and team chemistry. I think that's something that a lot of teams lack or, haven't really developed. And so we, over the season, every week we meet and we do kind of mental strength and team building. And I think that's really been a key for us in keeping ourselves mentally strong throughout the season.
Olivia, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. For a little bit more on Canyon Crest Volleyball team and their big win against La Costa Canyon, Dave is caught up with their head coach.
All right, volleyball fans, we're here with Coach Arielle Haas from Canyon Crest Academy. They just had an awesome 3-0 win over La Costa Canyon. Coach, what can you tell us about how you did it tonight?
I think the advantage that we have is that we're super well balanced and we do a lot of the little things right, which includes not making mistakes at the wrong times. So because of that balance, we're really difficult to stop offensively. And I think in the other aspects of the game, people always talk about the serve-pass game. We've worked really, really hard, maybe spent more effort and energy on that than we ever have this season. And I think it's come clear that all that work has paid off because we're significantly better in that area than we were when we started.
Oh, yeah, you guys looked great in the serve and pass game tonight. We caught up with Olivia. Is there anyone else you can mention that's doing a really good job for you guys?
I think tonight, Hannah Martin, we call her Lizard, was on point. She played every aspect of the game really well, and she really kept a level head, even when she would make a mistake or get tooled on the block, those kinds of things, which is a real key for her and shows a lot of growth for her, that she's a true weapon on the left side that when she's firing, she's difficult to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard the fans and the coaches talking about how error-free you guys are. Is that something you guys practice in the practice gym?
Yeah, I don't know that we are necessarily error-free, but we really are cognizant of when to make an error and when to not make an error. So much of this game at this age, at this level, is about just minimizing errors, that to get into that mindset and that framework so that they're aware of their surroundings sort of is a real benefit. And in every set, you're talking about 2 points. So it's literally 2 swings or 2 serves or something along those lines that if they're not errors and they're in play, that may be the difference in the set. So that's a big deal that we talk about in practice. And we're not expecting to not make errors. So we also talk about and meet every week when we do some of our mental training about how to respond when we do make an error and what that looks like, and we rehearse it and those types of things.
Last question, is there anything you're looking forward to for the remaining part of the season? We're coming down to it here.
Yeah, there's 3 league matches left. Next one's on Friday, so we're excited Friday to see if we continue to get better. Matches are always an opportunity to see if we've improved from the previous day. So we're excited about that. And as we get into the final weeks of the season, we're making a push to continue to improve and be prepared for when playoffs start in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks so much for being with us. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Hey, volleyball fans, welcome back to another Side Out podcast. Thanks again for Olivia Shea and Coach Haas to come talk to us about Canyon Crest Academy volleyball. And a big takeaway that I got from it, and it was actually off camera, was the way Canyon Crest Academy has leadership mentoring or captain mentoring. Can you talk to us a little bit about, what went down with that?
Yeah, so one of the cool things Coach Haas mentioned off camera was that in years past he had bring in his captains and they would do some captain training. This year he decided to bring in everyone on the team, and they got 18 players on the team. that can be a game changer for the program because now they're all on the same page. They're learning about these really important difference-making mental skills like composure, being a leader, etc. And when two teams are really closely matched, that can be the difference maker.
And we were discussing before, and you pointed out to the coach that you guys are a unit, and it's not like most teams that we've seen. They are fully engaged, fully supporting each other, and they look like they are moving as one. And it has to go to the great leadership and the great captain work that Coach Haas has put in here at Canyon Crest.
Absolutely. When you're playing that tight as a team, there are so many advantages, especially when you get into difficult situations like playoffs, important league matchups where the nerves are high, right? So they're sort of preloading themselves to be successful in those situations, which I think is just brilliant. And hats off to Coach Haas for doing that.
Mistake-free volleyball. Mistake-free volleyball. And I know Coach Haas wants to be humble, and he doesn't want to talk about how they don't make mistakes, but we heard it whispered in the crowd. We were talking to some people before the game, and they said, yeah, Canyon Crest just plays mistake-free volleyball. And we watched the game, and it was pretty much mistake-free here against Lacoste Canyon.
Yeah, absolutely. Against Canyon Crest, their defense is so solid and so consistent that scoring points is hard. So if you don't give points to the other team, it's going to be difficult for them to earn them. And that's what we saw tonight against Lacoste Canyon, who was a bit higher, and Canyon Crest took advantage.
Lacoste Canyon didn't look like their normal self that we have seen. Kind of sloppy, maybe a little rattled playing on the road, but CCA did a phenomenal job tonight, and that's why we bumped them up back to 2 in our rankings that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, Lacoste Canyon is a very solid team. They're a little beat up. They have a couple injuries that I know is affecting their level of play, but they should be getting healthier here soon, and I'm sure they're going to bounce back. But you're right, Canyon Crest looks tough.
And LCC started turning it on in the last set, and they started coming back, and you start looking at the score, and you're like, was it CCA going to be able to hold on? And LCC was playing good volleyball in the last set, and Canyon Crest Academy was able to hold on. So what a great job by the Ravens tonight. LCC played a little sloppy. They tried to come back, but that is a huge win for this Raven team as it sets up a potential league championship match against Torrey Pines next week.
That is going to be so exciting. Both of those teams are playing great volleyball, and Canyon Crest, I feel like, is peaking. They're getting better and better as the season comes to an end, and at this point, I don't really know who would win that matchup. I think it's going to be an awesome game.
It's going to be tough because we saw Torrey Pines early in the year, and their serve receive was phenomenal. The way they were able to get balls back to the other side, and the team that looks just like that, we just saw. Yep. Canyon Crest Academy looked just like that. That's going to be – is anyone going to score any points? Is that – obviously someone's going to score points, but that's going to be an absolute game next week, and we're excited for it. So without further ado, let's unveil our new top 10. And number 1, Torrey Pines, been the same the whole year. Number 2, we just said it, Canyon Crest. Number 1 versus number 2, league championship on the line. Now, I don't want to curse Canyon Crest Academy. They do have Sage Creek on Friday before they play Torrey. So I'm putting it out right now. It is not us. If they lose on Friday, it is not our fault. They said they're going to take care of business and work things out, and they're going one game at a time. So leave it to the media, us to just hype it up, get ready for the next game, because we can't hold our excitement. So that's number 1 and 2. The other 2 teams that usually are in our top 4 are Cathedral Catholic and LCC, and that's how it is in order. Number 3, Cathedral. Number 4, LCC. And Cathedral's been playing well, but CCA's beaten Cathedral in the way we saw CCA today. You can't have them lower than Cathedral in the rankings.
Yeah, both of those teams are really strong teams, and Coach Haas was making a great point that, once playoffs come around, you don't want to be playing, you want to play as few of those top teams as possible to give yourself the best chance to go as far as you can. And I think those top 4 are just right. They've sort of just kind of, mixed spots and kind of shuffled around a little bit. Obviously, Torrey's always been number 1, but I think those top 4 teams are pretty clear.
You definitely do not want to have to play 2 Del Mar Heights teams in the playoffs. That is just a recipe for disaster in this case. But so that's the top 4 with LCC. Number 5 rolling in, Ramona. And they got great players up there in Ramona, and they're playing good volleyball.
Absolutely, and super physical, big, strong girls that are getting better as the season goes on. Their coach just does an awesome job of keeping them prepared from, night to night and from season to season. Ramona's really playing well.
Coastal League now comes in at 6-7 with Bishops and La Jolla Country Day, and that's set up for a really good matchup next week in a battle for first place and potentially a Coastal League championship with those two teams.
Oh, yeah, and those coaches have probably played each other 30 times in their history. They're both good buddies, and they're two of the top coaches in the county. Bishops has got Todd Maddox, and Country Day has Peter Ogle, and they both always get their teams prepared very well, and they're going to bring it.
Number 8 on the list comes out of the South Bay Olympian. The Eagles come in at number 8 on our rankings, like I just said. And what can we say about South Bay volleyball? They're on the rise, and I know we've only had one team at a time in the top 10. But what can you say about the job Olympian has done? And are they a threat to knock off the mighty North County?
They could for sure. They got a bunch of different pieces. There's something to be said for winning a bunch of matches in a row and getting your confidence really high. I know these coaches up here love to be in the tough league, but sometimes it can be to your advantage to win 10, 12 matches in a row, get that confidence going into playoffs, and that's what looks like it happening right now with Olympian.
Speaking of teams on the rise, Scripps Ranch, the Falcons coming in at number 9 on our rankings, and they've slowly crept their way up the power horse here. But what can you say about the Falcons?
Falcons are always good year to year. They're in a tough league as well. They knocked off Point Loma once already this year, who was the team that took second in that league last year. So they're getting better. And, the teams that are continuing to get better at this point in the season are going to have the best chance in playoffs. And Scripps is one of those teams for sure. Last
team in our top 10, San Marcos. The Knights coming in at number 10. They're 24-1. What a great job up there in the North County. And, they're a little bit lower on our list. We're probably shice them just a little bit because they are 24-1, but the strength schedule has to come into play somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that they don't have going for them is that strength of schedule, but to win 24 out of 25 matches, there's something to be said for that too. I don't care who you're playing, to be that consistent is a real sign of a really, really strong team. I think they're very deserving of being in the top 10.
Another team that has a very good record, not in our top 10, but now we're definitely paying attention to them out in the East County, the Grossmont Foothillers. They're on the rise, and people are talking about them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of a similar thing to San Marcos, where they're out in the East County. They don't play necessarily as tough a schedule as some of the teams do that are in Del Mar, La Jolla area, but they're getting confidence. They're building, and they are asserting themselves as the best team out there in the East County.
So let's talk about some games this week real quick before we finish things up. And we'll start with Friday. Olympian and Eastlake, real quick. What do you got? How does Eastlake knock off Olympian?
So Eastlake at home is a different team than Eastlake away. Eastlake at home has so much energy. They play with so much spirit and so much ferocity that I think it's really going to be a different style of match. If they can play with that energy and get the balls to their big hitters, they can knock off Olympian, but it's not going to be easy.
Tuesday of next week is another big day here in the volleyball scene in San Diego County. Del Norte Poway, two teams that were on our radar before the beginning of the season, and then they're kind of slowly making their way up with good records. What can you say about the Nighthawks and the Titans?
Well, both of those teams are improving, and that's really, really important. They play a tough schedule, both of those two teams as well. So for them to be getting better and sort of starting to creep their way up towards the top 10, now's a great time to do it. They could be looking at a high seed in Division I and potentially, Division I championship. You never know.
Last game on Tuesday that we're going to talk about is the battle for first place in the Coastal League and the Coastal League Championship, Bishops and La Jolla Country Day. What can you say about these two private schools?
Well, because they've played each other so often, they know each other's games very well. So I predict there'll be a lot of adjustments, a lot of sort of trying to get ahead of the other team in terms of what they're doing strategically, and I expect the other team to respond quickly, and so it should be kind of like a little chess game, I think, between these two very disciplined, very well-talented and well-coached teams.
If there's a silver medal for Game of the Week, that's the silver medal for Game of the Week, because the big game of the week is between these Ravens and the Torrey Pines Falcons down the street. Number 1, number 2. Rematch already from earlier in the year. I'm just so excited I can't even speak properly. So what do you got from the Falcons and the Ravens next week on Wednesday?
You know, both of the teams play a really similar style. You know, I'm very interested to check this match out because I think both are playing their best volleyball of the year. They're both excellent in the serve and pass. They're both balanced. You know, I don't know if I could pick who would win that match. You know, I think you got to kind of give Torrey the favorite because they've been there this whole year. But Canyon Crest, like I said, is playing some awesome volleyball. They're a super tight-knit group, and Coach Haas has got them playing some of the best volleyball of the year going into the playoffs here.
We're getting ready for the playoffs. Davis Ransom, Braden Soprennant, another edition of Side Out Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.